let me just say this. Every ounce of Republican energy, every last ounce needs to go into that Georgia race because it could potentially be what makes or breaks the Senate. Getting Herschel Walker over the finish line. I know there's a temptation to start talking about 2024. No. 2022 is not over.
Great point.
Every Republican energy needs to go to grinding the Biden agenda to a halt. And that could go straight through the state of Georgia on December 6th.
Does that include Trump?
I think he needs to put it on pause. Absolutely. Look, he'll make that decision. He'll make his own decision. But
does he go to
if
Georgia?
I'm advising any contender, DeSantis, Trump, whomever, no one announces 2024 until we get through December 6th.
Do you see the former president a need for him to go to Georgia?
I think we've got to make strategic calculations. Governor DeSantis, I think he should be welcome to the state given what happened last night. You got to look at the realities on the ground. And Herschel Walker, we've got to win the Senate. That's it, guys. Got to win the Senate.
Kayleigh McEnany, formerly working with Donald Trump, right next to him, a right-hand woman of his. Look at what she's saying now. Donald Trump needs to calm down with this whole announcement. As you remember from that rally, the day of, I believe in the morning of elections, he was saying, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna hold up, I have this announcement on November 15th. Everyone's assuming this is a presidential announcement. That's what has people like her a little bit shaken over the whole thing. Because look at these results. You know, there's someone else that's even more powerful, maybe even more influential, that has his own thoughts. In fact, Rupert Murdoch, he runs these newspapers and these publications. Maybe you've heard of him. Here's one of his publications. It's called the New York Post. And once they start putting their finger on the pulse and realizing what conservatives really want now, this is in the headlines, the future, with Ron DeSantis' entire family up there on stage. He looks like such a winner, doesn't he? Young GOP star DeSantis romps to victory in Florida. He's not that young, calm down. But you know what, there's more. Fox and friend Steve Doocy, he was also startled by this whole thing, as everyone else over there in conservative media was. He made a similar comment about this after praising Ron DeSantis. He said, I was at a diner on Friday. People love him, is what he's talking about. He said the show proceeded to play a portion of the governor's victory speech, during which the crowd chanted 2 more years. They're not chanting 4 more years, they're chanting 2 more years, which means they're encouraging him to run for president. That's what Doocy pointed out. You think the Fox and Friends crew doesn't know that Donald Trump watches their show religiously, even though he says he disowned Fox News? One more from the New York Post. They also posted this as another, I've had this headline as well. Trumpty Dumpty. What lib organization is doing this? Slander. Is it Trump derangement syndrome? Let's look at what they said on the side there. Don, just Don, look at the disrespect, who couldn't build a wall, had a great fall. Can all the GOP's men put the party back together again? That's not it. Also, Fox News, Murdoch affiliated as well. They put this on Truth Social, Donald Trump's own damn side show of a social media company. Conservatives point finger at Trump after GOP's underwhelming election results. He's never been weaker. Do you think Donald Trump saw that? I think he saw all of that. There's more, Dan, there's more. Is this the end of Donald Trump? Is this finally the thing? Because by the way, my thought, since I've been saying from the beginning, do not forget, if you flash back to 2015, Republicans, conservatives hated Donald Trump's ass. And then he won and suddenly they were kissing it. Now they're back on the other side.
And the Republican electorate is incredibly fickle. Like in one moment, they will really want a candidate like a Ted Cruz or a Marco Rubio. And the next moment, someone like Donald Trump will go up against them. I mean, it's definitely no mistake that you have outlets like the New York Post that are starting to float this. Look at this family man. Look at all these, he's young. Whether this is true or not, of course, we're not gonna look to the New York Post for these things. But what we are going to think about is how that they're gonna use these messages to contrast against Donald Trump, who is very much not a family man, who is very much not young. And so when it's going to come to one of you and I's favorite segments on the watch list, let them fight, just drink all the tea and let them fight. It's going to be really fun to see the media aspect of this, because one other point here, because it feels a lot of times to you and I and a lot of the people watching that feels like there's a morning meeting in all of conservative media and they all get aligned on their agenda for the day. But I was watching some of the election coverage that was happening the night of on outlets like Charlie Kirk and the Daily Wire. They were pointing blame directly at Donald Trump's fundraising efforts and how they were mostly catered towards him and not even the candidates he endorsed, many of whom lost. So that's part of the Republican autopsy when it gets down to brass tacks. It's not just coming after Donald Trump because they feel like, oh, oh, Ron DeSantis has the new juice. It's because, no, Donald Trump is proving to be more of a liability than an asset. And we have always said the moment that happens, the moment he's gone, this is a fickle party. They will find whoever will win for them.
I'm glad you brought up the whole thing about how they're saying how he spent his money, how he had this money that he raised from all of his suckers, didn't share with anyone within the party. Everyone suffered from it. That was happening during the campaign, during everyone's campaign. Maybe, I don't know what other outlets talked about it. We mentioned it, definitely stories about it, and it was grumblings, but they couldn't say it loudly because they're still afraid of him. Once he loses, Jesse Waters did it too over on Fox News. He goes, "Look at all this money. He had all this money. Why wasn't it getting spent? Why weren't you saying that beforehand?" Because they thought no matter what, as long as Donald Trump is kicking our asses around, we're afraid of him. Once he finally loses that juice, then we can start saying the things we really mean. They've always meant this. They just don't say it. Let's jump down to a graphic. I'm sorry, SOT to you guys, because Jason Miller also worked very closely with Donald Trump. All the folks that were right next to him are saying things a little bit differently. He's not as vehemently against him the way that Kayleigh McEnany is, but he definitely still is on the same thought process about this announcement. Let's watch him talk.
I understood there could be an announcement before that from somebody that resides at Mar-a-Lago. So does that change his plans as far as announcing?
So no formal decision yet. Of course, President Trump had said that he would be making an announcement on November 15th, next Tuesday. I'm advising the president to hold off until after the Georgia race, after Herschel Walker. Priorities A, B, and C need to be about Herschel right now. This is bigger than anything else in the country.
Bigger than anything else in the country. I think he meant to say Donald Trump. He's advising Donald Trump to hold off on this announcement until after the Herschel Walker runoff race with Raphael Warnock. Because we've got flashbacks from the last election cycle when he told everyone in Georgia, hey, just don't vote because I lost. They didn't vote and he lost. But still, look at all of this that's stacked up against Donald Trump. Former advisors, people who are still currently advising him, like Jason Miller, Murdoch, Fox News, New York Post, they're all piling on him. Not only that, Lieutenant Governor out in Georgia still dogging him out for what happened. There's so many conservatives that are like, we're done with Donald Trump. He's got two folks that are still on his side. Let's go down to SOT 4. Two of his attorneys, these two clowns, they're at one of these events, and they have a few choice words for Ron DeSantis if he thinks he's the next leader of this party.
DeSantis is DeSantis because of Trump.
That's exactly
so
right.
I can't speak to that because I'm not I think I like what DeSantis is doing in Florida, but he needs to stay in Florida.
100%. I voted for him for governor.
Yeah, listen.
The governor.
Just stay where you are. You're doing a great job in Florida.
And I think if he does that, I think he's got a great shot in 4 years to run.
That would be perfect in my opinion.
Don't jump the gun.
Yeah, don't jump the gun. He's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. You know, he's just gotten his feet wet. And I think that's a problem that a lot of politicians do, and then they jump the gun. Or I think we'll see a couple of people run, maybe that they're running out of time and they need to make their run right now.
Yeah,
so
that might be true.
Yeah,
I'll be curious
we'll
to see how it plays out.
Apparently they pulled a couple of fans out of the crowd and gave them a couple of microphones and said, here, just talk. I don't know, bro.
Either that or that's just like some like phenomenal quality acting they're doing. There's like some great yes-anding there because you hear this a lot in politics, this not your turnism. I think it was one of the more annoying things about the Obama-Hillary race in 2008. I think it was one of the more annoying things about the Hillary-Bernie race in 2016. But the idea that these people, presumably pundits, are using this to say about Ron DeSantis, you're not ready to be president yet, you need to wait. Donald Trump wasn't ready to be president. Donald Trump was coming down an escalator, never touched a political office. He was saying that he rarely voted, that he was a Democrat in the early 2000s in interviews with Oprah Winfrey. Oh, but Donald Trump, all of a sudden, it's his turn. Again, this is a very, very fickle crowd here. And we've been like kind of desensitized over the past 5 years of the fact that they will, every single time, and when it looks like the Republican Party and the pundits will buckle, they will turn around and defend Donald Trump for whatever he has done, no matter how egregious, no matter how bottom of the barrel it gets. That'll like Thanos snap turn off in an instant once they realize that he is a liability to the party. And so I think if you ultimately see that Donald Trump pushes his announcement, because you know he wants to do it, and you know he's not gonna listen to anyone except for himself and maybe his own intuition about the Republican Party base, then you're gonna see whether Donald Trump really fears, oh no, I might have to watch out on my right flank for DeSantis here.